I didn't mean to overhear anything. That's how most things start, right? Not with intention, just timing. It was late evening. I had come home earlier than usual because work had been slow, and honestly, I didn't feel like sitting in that empty office pretending to be busy. The apartment felt quiet, too quiet for a place that technically had two people living in it. I dropped my keys on the table and heard voices coming from the kitchen. My mom's voice and a man's. I paused, not because I thought anything was wrong, but because I didn't recognize the voice. It was calm, low, familiar in a way I couldn't place. I stepped closer, slower than I needed to. You don't have to explain everything, he was saying. I get it. My mom laughed softly. Not the usual laugh I grew up hearing. Something lighter. That's when I walked in. They both turned at the same time. He stood there, tall, relaxed, maybe a couple years older than me. Around 27, I'd guess. Dark shirt, sleeves rolled slightly, like he had just finished doing something casual but important. He wasn't surprised, just still. My mom looked caught off guard for half a second before smiling. "Oh, you're home early." "Yeah," I said, glancing between them. I didn't know we had company. "This is Ayan," she said. "He's helping with some renovation ideas for the house." He nodded. "Hey." There was nothing suspicious about it. No tensión, no weird silence. Just normal. But something about the moment stuck with me. Maybe it was the way he looked at things, like he actually noticed details. Or the way my mom seemed different around him. Not wrong, just softer. We talked a bit. Casual things. Work, weather, random stuff that didn't matter. But when he spoke to me directly, it felt like he wasn't just being polite. "You work nearby?" he asked. "Yeah, marketing firm," I said. "Nothing exciting." He smiled slightly. "Sometimes the boring things are the ones that keep everything stable." I shrugged. "Or the ones that keep you stuck." He didn't argue, just nodded like he understood more than I said. That stayed with me. Later that night, after he left, I asked my mom, "How do you know him?" "Through a friend," she said. "He's helping redesign some spaces." "That's it." She looked at me for a moment, then smiled. "That's it." I didn't push further, but for some reason, I couldn't stop thinking about that conversation. Not about my mom, about him, and why it felt like I just met someone who saw parts of me I hadn't even figured out yet. I didn't expect to see him again, but I did. A few days later, I came home and found him in the living room, crouched near the coffee table, sketching something. My mom wasn't around. "You're back," he said, like it wasn't strange at all. "Looks like it," I replied. We ended up talking. Longer this time. First moment. He showed me his designs. Simple, clean, thoughtful. I sat beside him, closer than I meant to. "You always this detailed?" I asked. "Only when I care," he said. I didn't know why that line hit harder than it should. Second moment. A week later, we grabbed coffee. Not planned. Just happened. My mom had asked me to drop something off, and he suggested we sit for a bit. We talked about everything. Jobs, expectations, how weird it feels to be in your late 20s and still figuring things out. I thought I'd have everything sorted by now, I admitted. He laughed quietly. "Same. Turns out life doesn't care about timelines." That was the first time I felt understood. Third moment. One night, he stayed late working on something, and we ended up cooking together. It wasn't romantic. Not obviously. Just two people standing in a kitchen, arguing over how much salt was too much, laughing when we messed up. Routine started forming after that. He'd come over. We'd talk. Sometimes we'd sit in silence, scrolling through our phones, but it didn't feel empty. It felt comfortable. That's when he told me something real. "I almost moved abroad last year," he said one night, leaning against the counter. "What stopped you?" He hesitated. Didn't feel right. Like I was running instead of choosing. I nodded. "Yeah, I get that." He looked at me. "Do you ever feel like you're waiting for something, but you don't know what?" "All the time," I said. That was the moment everything shifted. Not into love, but into something that felt like it could become love. Still, there was a small thing. He mentioned traveling a lot, moving around, not staying in one place too long. I didn't think much of it then. Some things only make sense later. It wasn't a fight. It never was. Just small things. One evening, we were sitting on the balcony. "Would you ever leave the city?" he asked. I shrugged. "I don't know. My whole life is here." He nodded slowly. "I think I'd go if the right opportunity came." "Like what?" Anywhere, honestly. New projects. New places. I smiled, but something inside me tightened. That sounds exhausting. It's exciting, he said gently. Or unstable. He didn't argue. Just looked away for a second. After that, things felt quieter. Not distant. Just heavier. I started overthinking everything. The way he talked about the future. The way I avoided it. We still met. Still laughed. Still had our routine. But there were more pauses now. More moments where we almost said something and didn't. It happened on a normal day, which made it worse. He came over, but he didn't sit down right away. Just stood near the door, hands in his pockets. I got an offer, he said. I already knew what that meant. Where? Dubai. Of course. For how long? Not sure. Could be permanent. I nodded slowly, like it didn't hit me. That's good. Yeah, he said, but he didn't sound convinced. We stood there, not moving. You should go, I said after a moment. He looked at me. You think so? Yeah, it's what you want, right? He didn't answer immediately. I don't know anymore, he said quietly. That scared me more than anything, because it meant this wasn't simple. We sat down eventually, but the conversation didn't go far. Short sentences, long pauses. At one point, he said, I wish things were easier. I smiled faintly. They never are. We didn't say anything after that. Just sat there, both knowing something had changed. It didn't end right away. That would have been easier. Instead, it faded. Texts became shorter. Calls were missed. We both acted normal when we did talk, like nothing was slipping. One evening, we met again. Same coffee place. Same table. Same everything. For a moment, it felt normal. We laughed. Talked about random things. But underneath it, there was something off. Like we were pretending. When he left, he said, take care, okay? Not see you. Not later. Just that. That night, I typed a message. Do you ever feel like we're just waiting for this to end? I stared at it for a long time. I didn't send it. We didn't plan it. It just happened. We were sitting in his parked car, engine off, street lights reflecting on the windshield. Neither of us spoke for a while. I leave next week, he said finally. I nodded. Okay. That word felt heavier than anything. I didn't want it to be like this, he said. I know. Silence again. I think, he started then stopped. What? I think we met at the wrong time. I looked down at my hands. Yeah. We didn't do anything wrong, he added. I know. Another pause. Do you want to try? He asked, but didn't finish the sentence. I shook my head slightly. Long distance isn't us. He nodded. I didn't think so either. We both laughed quietly. Not because it was funny, but because it hurt less that way. I'm glad I met you, he said. Me too. There were so many things we could have said, but we didn't, because some things don't need to be explained. He reached for the door, then paused. Take care of yourself. I smiled faintly. You too. That was it. No dramati gudbie. No tears. Just two people sitting in silence, knowing it was over. Time passed. Not in big moments. In small ones. I changed jobs. Started going out more. Stopped checking my phone every few minutes. At first, everything reminded me of him. The coffee place. The balcony. Even the way I cooked. But slowly it faded. Not completely. Just enough. I realized something over time. This wasn't a failed relationship. It was a realistic love story. The kind where everything feels right, except the timing. We didn't break because we stopped caring. We broke because we cared enough not to force it. That's what letting go with love looks like. No anger. No blame. Just acceptance. Sometimes, the right person, wrong time isn't a cliche. It's real, and it teaches you more than anything else. About yourself. About what you need. About what you're willing to wait for, and what you're not. I don't regret it. Not even a little. Because for a while it felt like something real. And that's enough. Some people aren't meant to stay. They're meant to show you what real love feels like before you're ready to keep it.